I just can't seem to friggin' shake it. I haven't averaged myself over 5 tips over the first few rounds for each and every round since the season friggin' started. So it's starting to make me feel a little bit small. Fair dinkum. Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome back to the Wobble and Jaw Sports channel. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. And this is the Ace High Tips Show. Was going to have a guest with me tonight, but alas, things happen and it's okay. We move on. Life moves on anyway. Well, what an absolutely unbelievable start to the 2023 season. Let's get stuck straight into what awaits all of us in round number 5. Thank you very much to the couple of people that are already starting to tune in. So on Thursday night footy, for the first time, Parramatta travel out to the brand new Allianz Stadium to take on the Sydney Roosters. On tab.com.au, the Sydney Roosters are $1.53 favourites to the Parramatta Eels, $2.50. There's team list changes for both of these sides, namely for the Sydney Roosters. Joseph Manu is out. Drew Hutchison comes in for him because Manu has been suspended. By and large, the forward pack, the starting forward pack, is unchanged, and the interchange for the Sydney Roosters reads Turpin, White, Corey Allen, and Fletcher Baker. You look over at the Parramatta Eels and there's another suspension, and it's for them. By and large, the back line is unchanged, but it's in the forward pack that the forced change has happened. Junior Paulo has been suspended for a fortnight. Therefore, Wiramu Grigg is in there in jersey number 10, partnering Regan Campbell-Gillard, who had himself a huge matchup in their first win of the season last week against Penrith. And the interchange reads Dury, Hands, Jack Murchie, and Makahisi Makatoa. This is the 138th meeting between the Roosters and the Eels, and the ledger stands at Eastern Suburbs 68-64. However, over the past 4 meetings, the ledger stands at 2 wins and 2 losses, so it's split right down the middle. There's a couple of milestones, not just in this game, but throughout the entire round of footy this weekend. It's sort of a round of milestones. We've got Sam Walker, who plays his 50th match of first grade. Congratulations. And you've also got Victor Radley, who plays game number 100 for the Sydney Roosters this weekend. So kudos and congratulations to both those players for the Sydney Roosters. This is a very difficult game to tip. I want to tip Parramatta Eels because I think that sort of win will give them a momentum the size of a rocket, and they're going to go as fast as 1-2. I think they can keep this very, very competitive. I wasn't overly convinced with the Sydney Roosters' performance against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're coming off the bye, the Sydney Roosters, they are. And they're missing Joey Manu. And Joey Manu saved their bacon in that game against the South Sydney Rabbitohs a couple of times. So, oh, man. And I don't think the Sydney Roosters have enough points. If it becomes a shootout against the Parramatta Eels, they're not going to win. I think the Eels will win if it turns into a shootout contest. But if the Roosters show up defensively, and so far they've shown that they haven't been able to defend, very difficult game to pick. But I'll tell you what, the loss of Junior Paulo is a massive loss for the Parramatta Eels. So because Victor Radley's playing his 100th game, they're at Allianz Stadium. I'm just going to give the edge to the Sydney Roosters. Very, very tough game to pick, that one. And on Friday, we've got ourselves 2 contests, and game number 1 is from GIO Stadium. Canberra host Penrith, and Canberra on tab are $4 outsiders, Penrith are $1.25 favourites. There are, again, team list changes for both of these sides. Going into the back line, there is one force change. That is Jack Whiten, who has been suspended for a fortnight, and the forward pack remains unchanged for the Raiders, and then so too does the interchange bench. The back line for the Penrith Panthers after last week's defeat remains unchanged. Zach Hosking and Scott Sorensen start in the second row. Luke Garner drops out completely, and Liam Martin is still recuperating from an injury that he sustained recently. The interchange for the Penrith Panthers reads Peachy, Lindsay Smith, Spencer Leniu, and Jamin Salmon. And there is a massive occasion. There is a massive milestone for Penrith Panther. Isaiah Yeo plays game number 200, but on the other side of the fence, you've got the Canberra Raiders star forward Joe Tarpanay, who plays his 150th match for the Canberra Raiders because he started off his career as a Newcastle Knights player. Penrith have not lost. Penrith have not lost in Canberra since the 2016 semi-final. They may have lost to the Raiders at Penrith a couple of years ago. They may have lost to the Raiders elsewhere, but they have not lost in Canberra since the 2016 semi-final, have the Penrith Panthers. And in the past two meetings between these two sides, Penrith have restricted the Raiders to only one try, 6 points in total for each match, but they've restricted them to one try. And the most recent meeting was a 26 points to 6 victory, and that was one of Dylan Edwards' best games of all time. And there has been a bit of pepper between these two clubs over recent seasons. I was looking forward to it, but the loss of Jack Whiten is huge because the reason why I bring up their last matchup as well, not just because of Dylan Edwards' performance, but because the team on paper for the Canberra Raiders, by and large, are unchanged, except for Jack Whiten. Obviously, Jack Whiten is a massive exclusion this time round. He did play in that last contest, however. Conversely, though, Penrith Panthers still won 26 points to 6 with Jamin Salmon and Sean O'Sullivan in the halves this time. And now, this Friday night, Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai ventured down to the Raiders, and by and large, it's the same team. Isaiah Yeo's 200th game. I think Raiders, oh man, sorry boys, I think Penrith are going to win this one 13 plus, big time, bro. And the main event on Friday night footy on tab.com.au, it's $1.55 to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. The Melbourne Storm are $2.45 outsiders, and this one's taking place at Accor Stadium. This is the 38th meeting, or will be the 38th meeting between the two sides, and the Melbourne Storm have won 31 times to South Sydney's 6 times. Let's go into the team list news now for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and by and large, after last week, they're unchanged, except Hame Sele is back after copping an awful HIA. So the interchange, just to clarify, is Cartwright, Cheekham, Moali, and Hame Sele. Looking over to the Melbourne Storm now, they're largely unchanged. Munster and Pizzette are the halves pairing. The forward pack is Kamakamika, Grant, and Welch. And the interchange bench reads Garlick, McDonald, Tarek Sims, and Tom Eisenhuth. Look, I've made no bones about it since about a fortnight ago. But they are one of the ugliest teams to watch at the moment, the Melbourne Storm. And I'm not just saying that just to stick the boot in or to relish in it. They are a very ugly side to watch. Sure, they were up 22 points to 0, 22 points to 6 at halftime against the West Tigers last Friday night, but they were only able to achieve a penalty goal in that second half against an absolutely rudderless West Tigers outfit, albeit John Bateman had himself quite the contest, but it's not about the West Tigers or anything like that. It's about the Melbourne Storm, and without the likes of Jerome Hughes and Pappenhausen and the such. I do think that they will give South Sydney a scare, but surely the South Sydney Rabbitohs, especially after last weekend's gritty performance against the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles in Golden Point extra time, surely the South Sydney Rabbitohs get up. So I'm going to go for the South Sydney Rabbitohs to win 1-12. I won't go 13 plus, even though the signs look like that it probably could be. It could be a 13 plus points victory to South Sydney, but I'm just going to play it a little bit safe, and I'm going to go the South Sydney Rabbitohs to win this one on Friday night, 1-12. And then we move into Super Saturday, and the first game of Super Saturday is coming to us from Glen Willow Oval out at Mudgee. The Manly Warringah Sea Eagles host the Newcastle Knights, and on tab, Manly are $1.20 to the Knights $4.50. That I'm not sure. That might be a bit large on the old Newcastle Knights. Let's go into the team list news for the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. There is a change. Young Talatau Kola is out for a lengthy period. I think it's an MCL injury the poor bucker sustains. He's out for a good chunk, unfortunately. Kola. In comes Morgan Harper. The forward pack is by and large unchanged, but a shout out to Taniela Paseka, who absolutely ripped and teared last weekend. And the interchange bench reads KO Weeks, Travojevic, Ethan Bullymore, and Sean Kepi. Looking over to the Newcastle Knights now, and it looks like they're unchanged. Greg Marzu, holy crap, what an impact he made last weekend. And Kurt Mann will be out of this game. He started at lock last weekend. He got knocked out awfully, and in for him comes Jack Johns in at lock position, and interchange bench reads Crossland, Hetherington, Croker, and Brody Jones. Just some of the things about Glen Willow Oval. So the Manly Sea Eagles have played twice at Mudgee, and they've got a score aggregate of 61 points to 6. They thrashed the Gold Coast Titans 36-0 in that now famous Tom Travojevic return contest. And then you had a 25 points to 6 victory over the Canberra Raiders. I think it was pretty much this time last year. However, the Newcastle Knights have played just the solitary game at Glen Willow Oval, and that was back in 2019, where they defeated the St. George Illawarra Dragons 45 points to 12. There are a couple of milestones in this matchup, and they're both on the Newcastle Knights. Bradman Best plays game number 50, and Dane Gagai plays game number 250. So well done to both of those gentlemen, in particularly Dane Gagai. There's just something about the Knights, man, that on paper, a few people in the YouTube Rugby League Online community, they looked at the Knights team on paper and went, this is a good side that could sniff around that top 8 spot. And so far this season, it looks like they're actually playing for their coach. Yes, at times they have leaked defensively, rather alarmingly at that. But then again, their second half performance defensively to keep the Raiders outfit to 0 points in the second half was a really good effort. There's just a bit of ticker about this Knights team, and it's just starting to make me turn the wheel a little bit on how I think Adam O'Brien or where Adam O'Brien might end up by the end of the season. Whereas for the Manly Sea Eagles, they copped their first loss last weekend in Golden Point extra time. And look, I thought they were the better team for about 50 minutes of play, just quietly. I thought they were very much all over him, but gee whiz, they copped some ordinary calls that I won't go into right now. So look, they've had a much better start than the Newcastle Knights. I'm going to tip Manly, but it won't be 13 plus. I'm gonna go 1-12. I think the Knights can put quite the scare in the Manly Sea Eagles. And while it was not dramatic as it was the week before, Manly still faded. The Manly unfortunately still faded in intensity and focus with a few minutes remaining as well. So, but nonetheless, I'm going to go the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles to win this one 1-12. And it's not the game of the round, the following contest on Super Saturday, the second contest of Super Saturday, but it is heavily, heavily intriguing. From WIN Stadium in Wollongong for the first time this season, the St. George Illawarra Dragons host the Dolphins, and on tab, the Dragons are $1.77. The Dolphins are $2.05 outsiders. Ooh, That is some yummy, juicy odds about the Dolphins. And let me tell you why in a second as we go through the team list news now. Um, Starting with the St. George Illawarra Dragons, their backline is unchanged. Their forward pack, Jack Bird is starting in jersey 13 at the moment. That could change come kickoff. Jacob Little, Zane Musgrove, Toby Couchman, and Josh Kerr are the interchange bench for the St. George Illawarra Dragons. And we'll shift over now to the Dolphins team, man. At fullback, Hammer and Azarko is one wing, and young Jack Bostock makes his NRL debut this weekend. He is a fella that really caught my attention in the New South Wales under-19s State of Origin game last year. He's from the Wollongong region as well, or the South Coast region as well. So this is going to be an awesome debut, and I believe he's lining up on young Matthew Fingay. So that'll be a good contest. And obviously the centers are Aitken and Renko Lee, who I think have been a little bit underrated. The halves pairing for the Redcliffe Dolphins, Isaiah Katoa returns after having a week off, and Anthony Milford wears the number 7 purely. And in a massive milestone, Jesse Bromwich will play game number 300 this weekend at Wynn Stadium, and he will be only the 46th player to do so. So Jesse Bromwich, player number 46, to play game 300. In a big inclusion as well for the side, Jeremy Marshall-King is in at the hooker position, and Herman Essa comes in to start at jersey number 10. Kenny Bromwich did start in jersey 10 last week, but now he's been shifted into the back row again, which is where, in my opinion, he belongs. Kenny Bromwich wears number 11 on his back, Lemuelu with 12, and Tom Gilbert, of course, is in there at the lock position. And the interchange bench reads Jared Wallace, Mark Nichols, Ray Stone, and Mason Teague. And please allow me to repeat as well, on tab, the Dragons are $1.77 favorites, and the Dolphins are $2.05 outsiders. There is a huge opportunity here for the Dragons to recollect themselves, and excuse the pun, they come out firing after they've been belted by 40 points 2 weeks in a row now. This is also, might I add, this is going to be young Moses Sully's 100th first grade game in the NRL. So congratulations to Sully. And again, congratulations to Jesse Bromwich for reaching milestone 300 this weekend out there at Wynn Stadium, Wollongong. I love the value, but they're playing only one half at the moment, the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and it's that first half, and then they're just fading dramatically, awfully so, in second halves of games so far this year. Whereas the Dolphins, bro, their best portions of rugby league come in the second half. I love that Katoa is back, and we're going to see how he partners Milford in first grade. We're going to see Herman Essa in jersey number 10 as well. Jeremy Marshall-King is was just about their best player before he copped a suspension from round 2 onwards. And to see Jack Bostock, it's the element of surprise. I think the Dolphins still have it. I'm going to go the Dolphins to win this game. And this is a contest that at the start of the season, I looked at and thought, if the Dolphins were going to get their first win, and alas, they've won 3 now, their first win could have come against the St. George Illawarra Dragons, and I'm going to stick by it. I think the Dolphins will win this one in a thriller, 1-12. Come on, you Dolphins. This is going to be a super interesting game of footy. And then the main event on Super Saturday is from Suncorp Stadium, and the Brisbane Broncos host the Wests Tigers. Bloody gad, what the hell are we going to see in this game? The Broncos are $1.15 on tab, and the Tigers are $5.50. And the team list news for the Brisbane Broncos, the backline's unchanged, the forward pack is unchanged, and the interchange bench reads Corey Pakes, Keenan Palacia, Corey Jensen, and Martin Topau. And then the West Tigers, let's see how they're looking. So they're unchanged in the back line from last weekend's performance. They're unchanged in the forward pack, and the interchange bench reads Jake Simpkin in 14, Alex Tawal, Justin Matamua, and Stafford Toa in jersey number 17. Unfortunately, Offa Hengawi, Dane Laurie, Sean Bloor, they've all dropped off onto the reserves, unfortunately. But of course, that can all change by kickoff. I think that's a little bit harsh on Sean Bloor, just quietly. I'd like to see him come in instead of Stafford Toa, who, look, he is a committed young player, but he's not a bloody forward, and I don't think he offers enough utility value to slot into. Stafford Toa is a weird selection for me, just quietly, but Dane Laurie in the reserves bench, he's on the outer by the looks of things, but I don't want to put words in people's mouths. And look, for Brisbane Broncos fans that might be watching, you might go, "Oh, look, I've known that all along." But fair dinkum, this is all right. I'm going to do something a little bit dangerous, but hey, look, I'm not sponsored by anyone, so look at this, right? This week, Broncos versus Tigers. Pat Carrigan will play his 65th match. I did not realize that Pat Carrigan had not scored an NRL try so far in his career. On Neds, please gamble responsibly. Pat Carrigan is $7.25 to be an anytime try scorer. Look, the West Tigers, they restricted the Melbourne Storm to 24 points, but don't be fooled, man. Like that second half was a lot better defensively. They've shown glimpses at being a okay defensive unit, but that first half from the West Tigers, man, against the Melbourne Storm, in particularly, I'm sorry to dump on him too. Luke Brooks, that first half by the Tigers last week against the Storm was bloody awful. It was mind-blowing stuff, man, save for John Bateman's bloody efforts. Fair dinkum. So Pat Carrigan is going to score his first ever try this weekend against the West Tigers. But there is a stat that goes in the way, that goes in favor of the West Tigers. Since 2019, the Tigers have won 4 in a row versus Brisbane, and 5 of 7 matches since 2016. The last time that the Broncos even beat West Tigers at Suncorp Stadium was in 2017. And Jordan Ricky will be playing game number 50 in the NRL this weekend. So congratulations to Jordan Ricky, game number 50. But congratulations to Pat Carrigan, because he's going to score his first try in the National Rugby League this weekend against the West Tigers. I think he's going to go either just straight up the guts from 10 meters out, or he's going to break him up the middle or be on the support play for an Ezra Mann break of the line. So I'm going to go Pat Carrigan and the Brisbane Broncos to win this weekend. Let's go on to Sunday now. There's only 2 more games, and on tab.com.au, we've got the Cronulla Sharks hosting the New Zealand Warriors. The Sharkies are $1.27 favourites, and the Warriors are $3.80. $3.80 outsiders about the New Zealand Warriors. Ooh, looking over to the Cronulla Sharks team list now. The back line is unchanged after last weekend's impressive performance against the Dragons. The forward pack is unchanged, and the interchange reads McInnes, Hunt, Jack Williams, and Braden Trindle has been named in jersey 17, but we'll wait and see if he actually does play this weekend. And looking over to the New Zealand Warriors team list news now, there is one change. Tamare Martin suffered HIA, or was knocked out last weekend, and so he will be rested. In comes young Ronald Volkman into the 5'8" position. Looking over now into the forward pack now for the Warriors. Wade Egan is a massive return, a massive inclusion for the Warriors. He starts at jersey number 9. And Tohu Harris, surprisingly, has been named in jersey 13. If he's not even 50%, if he's not even 60%, you don't risk him, in my opinion. So watch this space. Maybe Josh Curran might come into the side because, again, Josh Curran has been named in jersey 18. And the interchange bench for the Warriors reads Dylan Walker, Sirinen, Jazz Tavanga, and Tom Arley. This will be the 47th meeting between the two sides, and the Sharkies have a 28-18 win or win aggregate over the Warriors. The Sharkies, since 2019, have won 6 of the past 7 encounters against the Warriors. So well and truly have the wood over the Warriors. And a milestone, Teague Wilton will play game number 50 in first grade this weekend. This is going to be a very intriguing game, man. This is, I dare say, this is the attack of the Sharks versus the defense of the Warriors. And I think about 7 or 8 years ago, no way could I have ever imagined me saying that, because 7 or 8 years ago, it was the defense of the Sharks versus the attack of the New Zealand Warriors. But boy, howdy, the tables have turned here. Fair dinkum. Warriors are a massive sniff. The Sharkies played a bit too lackadaisical, a bit too cute in that first half. And the Warriors are a much better unit in comparison to the St. George Illawarra Dragons, with all due respect, man. And look, the nightmare, the memory of last year when the Warriors traveled to PointsBet Stadium and still lost when the Sharkies were down to 11 or 10 men on the field because a few boys got sent to the sin bin or got sent off. I think the Warriors, look, you only get a few chances in the regular season to try and execute an ambush. I got a sniff that the Warriors might be using up one of their ambush cards this weekend against Cronulla in Cronulla to try and remedy that awful or infamous performance they put in last year against the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. This is going to be an awesome game. I think Super Sunday, or the Sunday ticket, is the day of the round. Is that going to be the day of the weekend? There's 2 absolute beauties on show, and Sharkies versus Warriors, man. I give the Warriors a sniff. And what? Tab put the Warriors at $3.80. Shit. I'm going to go the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, but they're going to win 1-12. I think this is going to be a close game. But I'll tell you what, in any event, this is the Warriors' test. This is the Warriors' time on that big stage. I know they've taken on the Cowboys away. I know that they've taken on the Roosters away as well. But they're now on one of only their 2 Channel 9 games this year. They're on Channel 9 Sunday afternoon football against one of the premiership contenders in the Sharkies. This is going to be the big test for 2023 so far. You can tell that I'm probably going to back, like I'm going to root for the Warriors in this one, all due respect, Sharks fans, but I am going to stick with the tried and true. That is the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, because, oh my God, Nicho Hynes did not miss a beat in any way, shape, or form in last week's performance. So I'm going to go the Sharks to win this one in a beauty on Channel 9 Sunday afternoon football against the Warriors. And then the final game of round number 5, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs host the North Queensland Cowboys. Ooh, a bit of a heritage game, being that the Dogs was the first ever opponents for the North Queensland Cowboys. On tab, the Dogs and Cowboys cannot be split. On tab.com.au, it is $1.90 each way. Now, I reckon on Sportsbet, I'm sure I saw on Sportsbet that the Cowboys were actually $1.80 favorites. Sportsbet had Bulldogs at $2. So there you go. Let's look at the Bulldogs team list news now. So The back line is unchanged after last weekend's tough but ultimately losing performance against the Warriors. The forward pack is unchanged. And on the interchange bench, holy crap! Josh Reynolds. Has been named in jersey 14 and will play his first game since 2017 for the Bulldogs. Wow, that's a massive homecoming. Yeah, bugger. And the rest of the interchange bench for the Bulldogs reads Corey Waddell, Big Franklin Pele, and Jaden Ockenbaugh in jersey 17. Let's look over to the North Queensland Cowboys now. Tom Chester, fullback. Felt and Brendan Elliott are the wingers for the Cowboys. I was hoping Rob Derby would be there, but Brendan Elliott is a sound player indeed. And Peta Hiku returns after copping a couple of weeks suspension. So he goes back into the center position and will partner Kyle Felt on one edge, and Valentine Holmes will partner Brendan Elliott on the other. I like that center wing combination. Dearden Townsend are the halves combination. The front row, McLean, Neem, and Robson. And the back row, Cohen Hess, Hylam Lukey starts in jersey 12, and Jason Taumalolo is the lock. The interchange bench reads Jake Granville, Mitch Dunn in jersey 15, Jermaine Tornoa-Brown, and Riley Price. Well done, young man. Riley Price will make his first grade debut this weekend for the North Queensland Cowboys. I think that makes Riley Price, I hope I get this one right. That makes Riley Price Cowboy number 307 for the North Queensland Cowboys. So well done. We got some Steve Price now floating through the team. Fair dinkum. That's good for anyone. This is going to be a fascinating contest for a multitude of reasons. Hylam Lukey in jersey number 12 is going to be lining up on Big Viliami Kikau. Oh, man, that is huge. Now, maybe Lukey has taken on Kikau head-to-head previously, but this is it, man. Hylam Lukey is an absolute monster. Kikau is a monster, but Lukey, he's got the youth, he's got the element of surprise still in his game. So get your big bloody broad shoulders stuck into his rib cage this weekend, Hylam Lukey. I'm bloody rooting for you. And there was a Twitter or a tweet that I saw just before I came on, and someone said this is now the beginning of Hylam Lukey's charge to potentially playing Queensland State of Origin this year. Oh, man, that would be the bolter of all bolters, one of the all-time bolters if that were to happen. But I hope it does for his sake. Now, Mitch Dunn. Mitch Dunn is also a great story for the Cowboys. He's returning to first grade since copying an ACL in round 2 last season. Mitch Dunn, however, has been playing in Queensland Cup for the Townsville Blackhawks. And Mitch Dunn was actually named in the team of the week in the second row position. So Mitch Dunn has actually returned to the Queensland Cup and has done some wondrous things. And he's played 51st grade games for the Cowboys now. Bloody, come on, Dunny. Come on out and bloody show it. Come on out and have your bloody best game for us this Sunday afternoon. And then Riley Price, is someone that I've been clamoring for. Unfortunately, Sage Rugu, he was named in jersey 19, so he misses out. And again, I mentioned Rob Derby before, was hoping to see him. But alas, it is what it is. And I believe in the boys that they can travel outside of Queensland for the first time this year and get the dub at Accor Stadium. And just on our history at Accor Stadium, since 2015, the boys have traveled to ANZ Stadium 8 times. They've walked away with the dub on 5 occasions, bro. So I've been saying it. A couple of other people online have been saying it too. The Cowboys' record at Accor Stadium, it's not bad. It's not bad. Alas, though, our last visit to Accor Stadium resulted in a loss to the South Sydney Rabbitohs. But this is going to be the first time that we have played the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs
at Accor Stadium since that famous closed doors match on Thursday Night Football in round 2 of 2020, where it was one of the most watched games of rugby league in history. And the Cowboys defeated the Bulldogs that day as well. Man, since 2019, the Cowboys have won 4 of the past 6 encounters between the Bulldogs as well. So, while man, while the Doggies beat us in round 1 last year, we atoned for that loss late last season in Bundaberg as well. One of the key matchups for this contest is Reece Robson versus Reed Mahoney. Think of it as a mini state of origin match. Think of it as a state of origin application, a chance to show what each other can do, man. Robson for New South Wales, Mahoney for number 9. This is going to be an awesome head-to-head battle between Mahoney and Robson. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these players finish the tackling count at over 45 by the end of this matchup. I've also mentioned Lukey versus Kickout. That's going to be an awesome contest, but the battle between Burton and Townsend as well, they're lining up against one another. Conversely, Dearden is lining up on Kyle Flanagan this weekend as well. But the kicking game of Matt Burton versus Townsend, the Cowboys and the Bulldogs are up there in kicking meters and also kick return meters. Bulldogs have got the Cowboys in kick return meters, however. But I think there could be, how do I say it? These 2 clubs unfortunately feature in the bottom 3 for missed and ineffective tackles, which is such a bloody shame after the Cowboys' great defensive efforts from 2022. But I believe that can still come to flower as the season progresses. But this game features 2 clubs that do miss their tackles or have started the season by missing a handful of their tackles. Penalty rates, they're pretty much the same, and they're some of the worst teams as far as giving away penalties. One of the keys to victory for me is that after the first 4 rounds, the Cowboys are the second best completionists in the NRL. Unfortunately, they don't do enough with it, but they are up there. So that's a great stat to have in your back pocket because they're taking on the Bulldogs, who are inside the bottom 5 for completions. So if there is a stat that you want to that you need to maybe put you over the edge, while the Bulldogs have bigger kick return meters, the Cowboys are better set completionists than the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, though. This is a super hard game to tip. Like, you all know already that I'm going for the North Queensland Cowboys, but this is going to be an awesome game. And considering it's the Cowboys' first trip away from Queensland in 2023, you just know that before and after, especially if they lose, that that Buzz is going to be ready with a article about Cowboys can't win away from Sydney, away from Queensland. Cowboys can't do it in New South Wales. So, yeah, man, let's. The boys won outside of Queensland on a number of occasions last year. Let's go to Sydney and not use an ambush card, but let's get this one, boys. Let's get our season rocking and rolling big time with a nice victory over a pretty good opposition this weekend too. Other than that, you've got Valentine Holmes, who I believe is going to be lining up on Jake Averillo. Holmes versus Averillo is going to be a pretty interesting watch because Averillo has started the season like a friggin' house on fire as well. And on the other side of things, you've got Kyle Felt versus Josh Addo-Carr. And we saw this past Sunday that the Warriors, from a scrum-based play, if you give Josh Addo-Carr way too many meters, he's just going to go foo and he's going to score in the blink of an eye. So Kyle Felt, unfortunately, bro, not unfortunately, stay on your line, Kyle Felt, man. Stay on your line, because you can't give Josh Adokar even a just you can't give him an inch of space or daylight. You can't do it. Paul Alamotti versus Petty Hiku, the young bull versus the old bull in that regard too. And then Jacob Kiraz, who's inside the top 10 for Dally M's Dally M points accrued. He's going to be taking on an old bull in Brendan Elliott as well. And then just the battle of the forward pack as well. Max King and Ryan Sutton versus Jordan McLean and Griffin Neem. It's a pretty big forward pack battle as well. And Taumalolo versus Raymond Faitala Mariner as well. I do think that the Cowboys, no, you know what? I'll take that back a bit. I think both interchanges, the Bulldogs and the Cowboys, they're sort of similar. I think they're very evenly split because they're sort of more mobile. There's a big bugger in Franklin Pele, and then there's a big bugger in Jermaine Tornua Brown. But then you've got the likes of Waddell, and then you've got Mitchell Dunn, Jake Granville, and also Josh Reynolds as well. And Josh Reynolds, that scares the living daylights out of me. Of course, he plays his first grade game for the Doggies against the Cowboys. Of course he does, man. Damn it. But I think they're by and large similar. I think these are very similar packs. But oi, you know me, I'm going to go for the North Queensland Cowboys in this game. I reckon Hylam Lukey can be an anytime try scorer. And I reckon Tommy Dearden. I think Tom Dearden could be pretty crafty and nifty and focus in on Kyle Flanagan and Jake Averillo this weekend. I just said Jake Averillo is going really well, but I reckon Tom Dearden, who is lining up on Kyle Flanagan, I reckon he could find a line. I reckon he could find some space and break it as he's opposing Kyle Flanagan this weekend. So Dearden, and I'll go Hylam Lukey to score an anytime try as well this weekend, but it's only going to be 1 to 12. This is going to be a really good game. And just before I go, I just do want to say hello to everybody that's joined me here tonight and left comments. Thank you to everybody. I don't usually do an A-side tip show live, but let's see here. Jack O'Hare says, fresh off their bye, the Chookies get the win over the Eels, who tire after their epic battle last weekend. I'm going for the Roosters as well. And Angry Panthers belt Raiders for a good win. Absolutely. Bellyache gets Storm to lift and frustrate the Rabbits into errors for an upset win. Well, that's where you and I differ for the first time this weekend. For Raz says, South at home as well. It'll be a tough challenge. Souths as well did beat them last time in Sydney. That is correct, sir. Jack O'Hare also says, Manly are hurting after last week's loss. Hammer the injury-plagued Knights. Okay, yeah, you're going to go 13 plus. I'm just going to go 1 to 12. I just got to sniff about something. Jack O'Hare says, Dolphins have had a month of high emotions and are hit with suspensions and injuries, but can the Dragons win a game against someone they should? Who knows? William Hunt, evening. Hey, man, how you going? Thank you very much. Bronx, the less said about the Tigers, the better. Jack O'Hare, Sam, don't remind us of that game. Oh, true. Jack, true. Sharkies will tell us was really at. Not trying to upset you, Sam, but I have a feeling the Dogs will sneak a win in a very close game. I'm not upset. Not upset at all. We got Nick in the chat. Howdy, Nick. Cowboys will win. Can't wait to be at ANZ for the second time. Well done to you, mate. I hope you have safe travels and enjoy yourself. Sam, I told you I had a feeling the team would be nailed. I got the exact team correct. Well done, mate. Hello, Nicholas McKercher. Thank you very much, man. That's awesome. So that's it. That's a live episode of the Ace High Tip Show. I really hope you enjoyed it. Wasn't meant to be just a singular person on this show tonight, but no, it's all good. And to you, you know who you are. I hope you get well very quickly. It's all good, man. It's all good. So thank you all very much for the for allowing me to wobble my jaw. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, like, share, and comment. And if you're new, please subscribe. And let me know if you do want to see some more live Ace High Tip show as well. So thank you very much, everybody. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you. Take care. Enjoy your footy. Adios. Go the Cowboys.